Hey there, welcome to Studio 5. We got a great show in store for you. We're taking a look at the true story of the Smallbone family. We're also taking a look at the film The Long Game and new music from country recording artists Ryan Stevenson and Deanna Carter. But first, let's get right to the countdown of the top 5 stories in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are the first 2.
At number 5.
Solve the puzzle, you win 100.
The official end of a game show era. After 41 years, Pat Sajak prepares to say goodbye to Wheel of Fortune. And the final episode is in sight, Friday, June 7th.
I don't know how we're going to top this, but we'll try tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
At number 4. Something new from Pat Sajak's replacement at the wheel, Ryan Seacrest.
3, 2, 1.
His foundation is bringing Seacrest Studios to Children's Hospital New Orleans.
State-of-the-art equipment for patients to explore, just like what I've got in my studio at the radio station. It will provide a variety of programming for patients, whether they are physically in the studio or watching our channel from their hospital room TV.
Giving children a sense of joy at what will be the 15th location, opening in early 2026.
He's gonna love it, especially when he's down and he's gotta go through tough times, because he likes music, he likes dancing.
And the remaining top 3 stories from the world of uplifting entertainment will be coming up later in the show. Let's begin now with a first look at the film Unsung Hero. It is the true story of the Smallbone family as they navigate struggles in life, but faith helps them through.
On my last tour back home, I lost a lot of money.
Okay, stay close. Let's go. However you guys feel about being here, we need to pray for everything that we need.
David, take me back. What do you remember most about navigating to America?
How y'all doing?
Are y'all from England?
Australia. Australia. Wish I had an accent.
So I'm broken. I'm shaking in my boots for 2 years when we arrived here because I was having trouble putting food on the table. She loved me, didn't criticize me, and had she criticized me, I would have had a nervous breakdown because my self-worth is an all-time low. That touched me in a deep place. And you've been married for a while, and it made our marriage stronger.
There's no food. We're almost out of money. We need to make some changes. Kids, we need your help. This is everything we have.
I'm very grateful. I've seen the movie. I've gone out and helped do promotion and been interviewed after it, and seen it probably 17, 18 times. It makes me cry every time, and part of it is because this woman has loved me unconditionally, and we saw the church in action. The church put food on the table for us. So I find myself at 14, a lover of the church, because when I couldn't do anything, the church loved on us.
Trigger's getting other folks to see it.
Does anybody really care what a 16-year-old girl thinks about God?
I'm trying to protect her, and it will never be enough.
Helen, what would you say was the darkest point in the story thus far?
Good question. I think probably the darkest point was when we first came to America. David did actually have a job that he came for. And about 2 months after we were here, he lost that job. And I think that was probably just feeling like we're now on the other side of the world. We're on our own. We have few friends. We have no family. We have no nest egg that we can rely on. Now we've lost the job. Oh my goodness, this is what's going to happen now.
So you guys come here not realizing the musical talent in the family?
We sort of did. So there was confirmation from outside coming in. So we were aware somewhat of her talent. I think both of us were probably a little gun shy about having, like wanting her to be an artist.
Yeah.
Dad, I wrote a song. Thought maybe we could ask for an audition.
Oh, that's great, honey. Let's take it one step at a time.
I think your dad has the
standout line of the film, at least it stands out for me. I still hear it today.
Yeah.
Your family is not in the way. Your family is the way.
Yeah.
Tell me about the moment you recognize, both of you, you look and say, God has given us the way. Here they are.
She's been given a beautiful voice. It's a miracle.
She's a special one, son. Your family, they're not in the way. They are the way.
I've been very thrilled that that statement is the standout statement of the movie. The two standout statements are, your family's not in the way, your family is the way. And then Mother Teresa quote right at the end that says, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. So the movie is very much promoting family.
It takes a lot to live out your dream. Hard work and sacrifice.
And here you got a Hollywood company celebrating marriage, celebrating this wonderful lady. And who would have thought? Who would have thought that? And they're putting it into 2,000 theaters. They're putting a lot of marketing dollars into it. And at the end of the day, it's promoting Jesus and family.
Yeah.
In the game of life,
exciting.
as you know, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
But look around you. Your family, your faith. That's what makes you rich in life.
The fact that it's connecting with people, both Christians and non-Christians, that gladdens my heart.
It's going to be dangerous and scary. And giving up, giving in, it's not an option.
Whatever your dream is, I know you can achieve it.
Please welcome my big sister.
My dream is to be like you.
Unsung Hero premieres in theaters everywhere this Friday. That's April 26th.
Still to come.
How would you boys like to be the first members of the San Felipe High School golf team?
Us. It's the true story of 5 Mexican Americans beating the odds and overcoming discrimination in the game of golf. We're taking a look through the lens of the film's producer and star, Dennis Quaid.
When I read the script, I just had to do it. It reminded me of movies that I'd done, Breaking Away and The Rookie, you know, these underdog stories.
At number 3.
And action all around.
An inside look at The Forge, the newest film from the Kendrick brothers, scheduled for release in August.
I want to ask you a few questions first. What kind of man do you want to be? And what do you want people to think when they see you coming?
Your training starts on Monday. Please be on time.
Joshua is first mentoring Isaiah.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Joshua then says, "This is the reason I live according to these truths."
You've got this. I'm gonna let you run with it. I know what it's like to be angry.
At number 2.
My soul was in a prison cell, then you came along and paid my bill.
It's new music, a new tour, and a bit of a reunion for singer, pastor, husband, and father, Dietrich Haddon.
We got the group back together.
It's been 10 years since we've last seen some of LA's most dynamic pastors, preachers, and speakers of the word. Well, I think 10 years has been long enough.
Something I've learned that I didn't know, I knew you were part of Preachers of LA, but I didn't know that it was your idea.
Oh, they finding out now. People are finding out that Preachers was my creative
idea. So that
idea.
was your idea.
It really was.
What happened? What made you think that?
Man, I was going through the toughest season in my life. I got a call from a great preacher by the name of Zachary Timms. And I was crying on the phone, literally. Man, I'm messed up, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll never be able to preach or sing again. He said, calm down, Dietrich. You ain't the first and last. Now tell me what's going on. So he helped me on that phone call. And after the call, it just hit me. Man, we just need to do a reality show, man. And let people know how real men of God that are anointed by God, called by God, can make mistakes. I really have no connection with my father. Put your hands on my mother and you left us. That's why we didn't want to have a relationship with him.
Well, that's going to leave us with just one more story in this week's countdown. We'll get to it in just a little bit. Now we turn to The Long Game. It's the true story of a team of Mexican Americans overcoming segregation and discrimination in the world of golf. Actor Dennis Quaid stars in the film. We're sitting down with him for a first look here in Studio 5.
Frank mentioned that you served together with Marines?
Infantry. 141st Regiment.
I know you hear this all the time, but thank you for your service.
The Long Game. Who is Frank?
Frank is your typical guy of that era who fought World War II and, came back and was, felt a little lost, even though he'd saved the world for democracy and, living in South Texas. And he's the head pro at this country club where these 5 Mexican-American kids, this is a true story, worked as caddies, but they couldn't play at this country club.
I don't want to be a member of just any club. I want to play here.
I got to consider our other members, and they are just not used to seeing a Mexican on the golf course.
They built their own golf course out in the desert with what was 1 hole and 5 ways to come to it, and started their own golf team at their high school.
How would you boys like to be the first members of the San Felipe High School golf team?
Us. They asked me to join the new golf team today.
Golf? You're gonna bring your sombrero anyway, man. Whenever you're invited to a gringo party, you're either the entertainment or the help.
Let me ask you something. Are they any good?
Nope. They won the Texas State Championship their very first year at the country club where they couldn't play.
It's a beautiful story. What is it you think about Frank that makes him willing to open the door while the door is being shut by others to these young men?
You boys built all this.
Yes, Mr. Mitchell.
Sorry, boys. When we spoke on the phone, I assumed you were American.
Well, you assume right.
He sees this golf course that these kids have, built out of this craggy desert, and realizes their dedication and their genuineness and love for the game, and it touches him.
Where do you think that skill, that talent, that drive in these young men came from? I mean, it's incredible that they would build their own golf course and then go on to win their first championship. How?
That's not a small feat, I remember in Texas, I remember separate bathrooms, separate drinking fountains, separate parts of the theater that that people had to sit in with different concession stands. It was like 2 different countries going on at the same time. And I just remember how back then, how weird that was. This movie reminds me and hopefully all of us of how far we've come as a people and where we used to be, and where do we go from here?
Why do you think it's important to tell and share stories like this today? Because this goes back to 1950s. Why is this today in 2024 important, you think?
The American dream is still alive. It's still out there. It might seem easier to some people who have privilege and stuff like that, but it requires hard work.
Now, these teams, they've had access to a lot of things you boys haven't, but the best golfer isn't the one with the fanciest clubs. It's the one who can summon the will to keep swinging when things get tough.
I think it's really important to singularly hold on to all these separate cultures, and because that's what makes us strong.
People need to see us as more than just caddies and cannon fodder.
That's just life. Sometimes you land on the green, sometimes you're in the bunker, but you always play it as it lies.
And The Long Game is available right now. We need to take a quick break, but before we do, it is time to share this week's story and pictures. Here's your Studio 5 snapshot for the week.
We head to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a look at the latest class photo. We learned during Sunday's American Idol, the The newest class includes recording artists Mary J. Blige, Cher, the Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Kool and the Gang, Ozzy Osbourne, and a tribe called Quest. The legends will find themselves inducted at a ceremony in Cleveland, October 19th. This look ahead is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot. Just moments away.
It's normal life, we're scraping by, living broke but we didn't mind.
New music from Ryan Stevenson, featuring country singer Deanna Carter.
The bottom line ain't always what it seems.
We're going behind the music and breaking down the song Rich. At number 1.
I know it's been a while since anybody seen me smiling. Shame had me thinking it was game over.
Remembering this bright light, an American Idol alum, Mandisa.
Musicians, singers, fans, and friends have been remembering Mandisa. The Grammy Award-winning Christian music artist was found dead inside her home Thursday. The cause of her death remains unknown.
One of the things that I've learned throughout this journey is community is so important to God. It's what He created us for. And so I'm hoping it's going to spark conversations with other people.
Mandisa was known for her uplifting hits like Good Morning and Overcomer. Throughout her career, she collaborated with top Christian performers like Toby Mac, Matthew West, Michael W. Smith, and Kirk Franklin. She also authored 2 books, one of them telling her testimony in her book called Out of the Dark, My Journey Through the Shadows to Find God's Joy.
When did you first realize that you were dealing with a struggle as far as mental health goes?
Yeah, it was, I call it the deep dark in the book. It was when I was considering taking my own life. I was just tired of it all. That's when I was like, okay, this is not just going through a bad moment. This is really serious. And it was at that time that my friends had essentially an intervention and pretty much said, we love you just as you are, but we love you too much to leave you that way.
Not scared to say I used to be the one preaching it to you that you could overcome. I still believe it.
That's the number 1 story in this week's countdown. Welcome back to Studio 5. Award-winning singer and songwriter Ryan Stevenson has new music featuring country music artist Deanna Carter. The song is called Rich, and it's based off a conversation Ryan's mom had with him as a little boy after breaking down when seeing his mother buy groceries with food stamps.
This song is called Rich, and I wrote this song a while back about just kind of ongoing pearl of wisdom in this truth that my mom would always say, almost declaring it over our family. She would say, you know, we might not have a lot financially, we might not have a lot of the sense of material, but we're extremely wealthy in the things that matter. We're rich in different ways, and it was such a truth and a sentiment that got stamped on my heart as a young kid, and it just has carried me, you know, all the way until now. And a few months back, when I wrote this song, when I finished it, I knew that it needed to be a duet. I just felt like it needed somebody else on it. It just didn't need to be me. And I was praying, who could this be? Lord, give me a sign who we should ask. And I was thinking of so many people, but I remember this real clear prayer. I say, God, I just need clarity. Give me just a sign, if you will. And I don't normally pray like that. But literally the next day, my publicist called and said, hey, you got invited to make your debut with the Grand Ole Opry. And I was just like, man, that's amazing. Like, that's a dream come true. And then so I went and checked the Grand Ole Opry site. And the first person that I saw on there was Deanna Carter. And, you know, I'm a product of the 90s. I grew up, like, my heyday was just everything 90s country and 90s pop music. Like, that was the soundtrack of my young growing up. And when I saw that she was going to be on there, I was like, oh, that's absolute confirmation. And Dina has been so generous, so gracious to be a part of this song. She took the song from here to here. It wouldn't be the same without you.
Well, I was so happy to be there for his debut at the Opry, and he came by to say hello in my dressing room and just introduce himself. And my mom has been a fan of some of your songs, and when I told her that I met you, she said, "Oh, you know, she had like, she was like singing your praises and everything." And so the call came about duetting. My brother had sent me a note saying that you had invited me to do that on this song, and sent me the song, and I listened to it, and I just sent him a note. I think it was that day, right back.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
This is awesome. This song is my mantra because I always say I've won the lottery. In my lifetime, God has been so good to me that I've won the lottery like over and over and over in different ways. And so it was just meant to be. And the schedule worked out so simple, and just how God worked it all out has just been wonderful. So I'm so honored. This is all Him and His talent and His heart. And for Him to include me and invite me to be a part of it is just the sweetest thing ever. So I'm very honored. Thank you.
You're very kind.
Thank you very much.
To be rich in different ways.
Ryan Stevenson formed a friendship with Deana Carter after meeting her at the Grand Ole Opry last year. It was then he knew she was the right voice for this song. And welcome back to Studio 5. As you know, music helps us to bring you this show every single week, and this week's soundtrack comes from For King and Country, Stryper, and Lecrae. Take a listen, and you'll hear why To Hell with the Devil is what's playing in my ear this week.
This is your time to rise. There's fire in your eyes. You're heaven in disguise. Let this be a battle cry. To hell with the devil. To hell with the devil.
To Hell with the Devil. On that musical note, we are just about out of time for this week's edition of Studio 5. So let's take a moment and look ahead to see what's in store on next week's rundown.
It takes a lot to live out your dream. Hard work and sacrifice.
We began today's show with a preview of the film Unsung Hero, and it's worth a second look in a Studio 5 special, going behind the lights with David and Helen Smallbone.
So you have children. Your child portrays you. What's that like?
It's pretty funny because Joel says it's a very expensive therapy session for him, which, you know, like, and I do think, from my perspective, I've noticed that Joel is very similar to David.
And we're hitting the red carpet for the Music City premiere.
How does it feel to have, you're such a big part of this story, your family's story coming to screen?
I mean, it feels very surreal to have a film made about this part of our lives. I've told this story for decades about how we came to the U.S. and we're very close to the poverty line.
Be sure and join us for that story and so much more come next week. As for this week, we've got just time for one more thing. Let's give that to Helen and David Smallbone. Go back and speak to that child before all this adventure. What advice would you give young Helen, young David? What would you say?
I think put Jesus first. Look for His hand every day, because He promises that He's going to be with us. He promises that He's going to care for us. So look for Him, and you'll find Him, and just follow Him.
I would encourage anybody, particularly men, don't wait. Get serious about Jesus now.
Because if you do, and you put everything through his filter, you'll have a wonderful and adventurous life.
Mom and Dad, Small Bone, that's a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and for this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.